Right then, here we go. This is a nice little technique. I've covered it in some other videos, but I thought I'd do a separate video to make it a bit easier to find and a bit easier to refer back to in the future for you lot. This is for when you want a two colour or multiple colour sticker with some kind of stroked background. If you're doing digital only work, this isn't going to affect you. This is for making vinyl stickers, and it can cause all sorts of problems, especially on fairly complicated lettering. So I've done a simple circle and a letter, typical letter, with a few odd shapes inside it. So we need to separate these two. So we've got two colours of vinyl. So I'm going to go path, object to path, and then path, stroke to path. And then you will need to go ungroup. Just click off to deselect, and I'm just going to click on the center section to select it. And now I can move that out of the way, and you see we've got a ring, which, as I said, if it's digital only, you won't even notice, you won't even see it. But that causes all sorts of problems with vinyl cutting, because you don't want to cut out a hole basically in your sticker, because when you put your top layer back on, it'll create a step and it looks not very professional. And the other thing is, if I just center this back up, when Inkscape creates a stroke, it'll put the stroke on the center line. So you've got to, if I just select that, if I just bring the opacity down, you can see through the top layer, and we've got this horrible overlap. We want to get rid of that completely. The way Inkscape works, it just, wherever the edge of your object is, the stroke sits half on and half off, and that's just how it is. It causes all sorts of problems. I wish, like Photoshop, they would put a selection in where you can set it on the outside, inside, or the center line, but we're stuck with center line at the minute with no option to change it. If I'm wrong, if anyone knows any different, please let me know, because this it does cause quite a lot of headaches for me. Let's just bring the opacity back up and move this guy out of the way. So, first way of getting rid of these nodes, if I go over to the node, edit pass by nodes, you can click on the nodes themselves and delete them. Nice and easy. And then you can bring your sticker back on, and you've got a solid disc or two solid discs and no step. Nice and easy. Let's just center those back up to satisfy my OCD while I do the next bit. If you're finding the video useful so far, please consider giving the like button a little tickle for me. That would really help me out. The next bit gets a bit technical. I didn't want to get technical, but there's no avoiding it. I've just noticed something that's been bothering me for quite a while, which is on shapes. When you create a shape, it seems to default the order, the rendering order, so that your fill sits on top of your stroke. And when I do text, it seems to default to put the stroke on top of the fill, which creates a problem with the size of your text and the stroke. So these two B's were the same. One's a duplicate of the other. All I've done is change the rendering order. So there the fill is sat beneath the stroke, and on this one the fill is sat on top. And this has caused me problems in the past, because it changes the look of your sticker, your design. So just be mindful when you set off with text that your stroke is the correct width and the typeface is the right height and everything before you get committed to doing strokes and paths, because it'll cause all sorts of problems. For example, if I just zoom in, here you've got a nice round radius corner, and there it's sharp. So it's just things to consider before you get too involved. And it's just these buttons. I should change the order back. One's fill, stroke and markers, and the next one is stroke, fill and markers. Don't worry too much about markers, that's just these guys. I'll just select one and implement it. You can do all sort of like technical drawing stuff, so don't worry too much about those. It's mainly the first two that affect us on this one. Right, I hope that wasn't too difficult to follow. We're going to use this one because this is in the correct order, but we do need to address the width of the stroke. So let's just do that now. The width is 20, so I'm gonna wager if we make that 40, it should look similar to this. Oh, it does. That's what you're paying me for. Right, so we can get rid of this. That's what I was saying about the before you set off, make sure it looks right. You've got to have this in the right order before you start, or else it's going to change the look of the whole thing. So let's just get rid of this guy and use this one. So what we want to do first is go path, object to path. That sorts out the fill. And then path, stroke to path, which sorts out the stroke. And then we can go path, break apart, which separates the two colours. Let's just click off and click back on. And now we need to go ungroup. And that will give us two pieces to work with. And there, like the shape above it, you can see it sits on top and not beneath. Just centre those back up. So same as before, what we want to do, actually just lose this fill for a second, we want to go over to the nodes tool, and there we go, we see there's loads of nodes. Now in the past, just because I got good at it, I would click on each one and delete them, which you can do, but there is a better way for more complicated shapes, which is fill bounded areas, and you can just click on that and dump a load of paint inside. And it's the wrong colour, that's fine. You can just hit the D button and then click on the colour that we want, which is this one, and that will match it to the stroke. And just click off, and then we need to select both the newly coloured fill and the old stroke, and just go path, union, and there we've got one solid B. It's just a case of selecting the whole thing, hold down shift, select the fill, and then centre those two guys up. And that's ready for cutting. So I hope that's been of some use to you guys, and if you get stuck with anything, leave me a comment, I'll try and help you out. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.